Go ahead.
We're good? All right. Okay, then. Let me share my screen for just a minute. Little introduction in case folks haven't been here before. Um, oh, I hate it when that happens. There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Ann Arbor Solar Stories with the GLREA. We're really happy tonight to be hearing from Amir, who is a Ann Arbor resident. His wife and two kids moved here. Oh, I forgot what you said. 2013, maybe 13 years ago, one of those two.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good. And he's going to tell us about his solar story, including participating in Ann Arbor Solarize. Um, so really excited to meet you and hear about your path. Always need to thank the financial sponsors of the Solar Story events, which are Eagle, the Department of Great Lakes Environment and Energy, Homeland Solar, Harvest Solar, and Synergy. And I think I might be missing a sponsor. Am I missing a sponsor, John? Nope, we're good. Okay. In case you don't know, first Thursday of every month is an Ann Arbor Solar Story. Second Thursday is a clean energy seminar where you can come learn about all things related to clean energy from people who like to talk about those things. Third Thursday is Detroit Solar Stories, and then the fourth is either an energy Q&A or a Michigan solar story from somewhere else around the state. The GLREA is a nonprofit formed in 91, supported by members to educate and advocate for renewable energy in the Great Lakes region. So they do both lots of education and lots of legislative advocacy, for which we are all benefiting. So to support them, if you want, you can become a member or renew your membership. You can sponsor a membership for a local teacher or student who you think might be interested in clean energy. Encourage others to come to these meetings and join or make a separate financial donation if you'd like. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop the intro and hand it over to Amir for his solar story. And thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me okay? You can hear me?
Yep, can hear
Yep.
you fine.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here and to share my story with you. I do have to apologize in advance. I have a 3-year-old, so he may make his way into the room at any moment. You know, we have given up giving directions, but hopefully he's going to be okay. Just a heads up. Again, very excited to be here and share my story with you. And I have a few slides kind of to help me through the presentation. So my journey to solar started in 2023, about a year ago. And I have a sad phase that turned into a happy phase. And the reason is I was not looking into solar at all. I wasn't looking into renewable energy at all until something happened in my life that required my attention. I used to be an engineer. Actually, let me tell you. So I'm currently I was ordained a Christian Orthodox priest, specifically from the Coptic Church, which is a church from Egypt. So it's the Christians from Egypt, and I'm a priest there. But so I'm a full-time priest for the past almost 8 years now. But before that, I was an engineer, aerospace engineer, and I always was intrigued by solar energy. Like I remember when I was very young, I used to have a calculator, you know, that was powered by the light, right? So I was always intrigued by this idea, but I never really thought to expand this and how far it could go, and of course the cost barrier was a big thing. So so fast forward, I'm here in Ann Arbor with my wife, and I have 2 boys, a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. And something happened last year that really triggered me looking into this. And what was it? It was extensive outages. So I moved to Ann Arbor from Florida, And I didn't really experience any outages there. I can't remember one. Before Florida, I was in Cleveland for a short period of time. Also, didn't experience much. Before that, I was in Arizona. My first job was in Arizona. 6 years I was living there. Didn't experience any outages. Before that, where I grew up was upstate New York, Rochester, New York. That's where I went to middle school and high school and college. Maybe an outage once for a short period of time, but for some reason here in Michigan, I don't know what it was, but it seemed like there is more frequent outages. And I'm going to show you some data also to show how many outages I've had this year so far and how long they've been. So anyway, I have kids now, so it was very important for me to make sure they're safe, that there isn't there's food that's not bad in the fridge, and just making sure I can provide for my family. So last year's kind of sad face turned into a joyous face, and we'll go through that journey. So I actually started looking into a standby generator, and I contacted a company, and they came out and did an evaluation and told me an 18 kilowatt system would be good for me. And also that company had connections with the Solarize Ann Arbor program and encouraged me to attend that program or that meeting that was going to get held. And I kind of actually forgot about it. And then I got a reminder email. So I'm like, let me just join and learn a little bit more about it. So it was the Ann Arbor program to introduce residents to the solar program and offer them discounts and bulk buying, etc. So my track was with the standby generator. But then the more research I did, again, remember I'm an engineer prior to priesthood, more research I did, I kind of felt like there was my own drawback. So these are my own reasons not to go to a standby generator, and I listed 5 of them. The first one is that generator can only be used during an outage. So it's nice to have when you need it, but it's bulky, it's sitting out there. I have a small yard, and so I can only use it when there's an outage. Now, of course, I know there's a way to turn it on and you can use it still, but it's not cost effective if you just turn it on and use natural gas. The second reason is it required annual maintenance. So synthetic oil change, spark plugs, and I do this stuff for my own cars. I would have been interested to learn about this, but I was a bit scared. I needed more research about it. But then I was like, that it's kind of this cost for something that I don't really get to use. The other is the third one was a limited output. So I could only power certain limited things. I wasn't able to, I won't be able to power more things in my home. So basically, let's say it would have been connected to the furnace and maybe a couple of lights, switches, outlets, etc. Fourth thing for me that I didn't like, it was noisy. And the fifth thing is it would use natural gas, so there would be a cost there. So that was kind of my thought process. Now, in attending the Solarize program, and after even getting an estimate of how many panels I need and what kind of system I need, after the discount, after the government rebate, and after the bulk buying, it was about, the cost to go solar for me was about 2.1. So almost a little over twice the cost of a generator. So it kind of made perfect sense. I felt like this is something to definitely consider. My own driving factors for solar, number one was my family. So I wanted peace of mind now that I have kids. When I was single, it didn't matter. The power is out, I could light a candle and just, sit at home or go to a friend or do whatever. But with a family, and I just wanted to provide for them. This was my number one priority. Number two, convenience. Obviously, it's very convenient when the power goes out. I would have to pack the cars, try to find a hotel if it was in the middle of a snowstorm. So there's that convenience factor. The third one was the rebates and the Solarize rebate. So that's almost 50%, 45% of the whole cost. So makes absolute sense for me. And then the fourth one was the offset to my electrical bill. So basically building, well, before I get to the second part, but basically it will you know, if it's a cloudy day, it's still generating power. So rather than using, you know, 10 kilowatts, maybe I'll use only 8 from the grid, and the other 2 are coming from the solar, something like that. And the second part of that fourth bullet is the credit being built. So today was a very sunny day, except for the rain we received, but we were generating so much power I was sending to the grid, helping my neighbors and my community. And of course, building credit, a fraction of the credit that, you know, I can use back. But that's DTE's decision there and their regulations. So those were my kind of main factors to go to solar. This is an image of my home from the roof. It's approximately 2,000 square feet. And this is through a program called Solar Graph that the electrical company used to estimate a lot of different factors, like where also the sun is most of the day. So they found that this area right here, where they put those panels, and I have 11 panels, was the best one. And the southern sky is pointing this way. So I get a lot of good exposure right after like 9:30 in the summertime. So since in the morning when the light comes out, I have production, but about 9:30, very good, until about 2 o'clock or so. And then it kind of slows down. So I have a nice curve that goes like this. And so the system that they designed for me is 4.4 kilowatt with 11 panels and with 1 Tesla Powerwall. And I'm using the Powerwall 2 because that's when I got the system. I know the Powerwall 3 is now out. So this is an image of my home. Now, I was so excited about this, I was encouraging my in-laws, and actually I wasn't telling them to do this, but I was telling them what I was doing, and they got excited. So I encouraged them to move forward, and they themselves got a system as well. Their system is bigger. They have a much more bigger exposure to the southern sky, so they produce a lot of power, a lot. But their home also demands more. So they have a bigger system. They have 14 panels and they have 1 Tesla Powerwall. The exterior of my home, some pictures. I think it's per code. There has to be a battery shut off outside. So this was installed. And also the solar shut off was also installed. It's in the off position right now. I realized this after I put this picture because I was waiting for the DTE inspection to come. So I had to make sure it was off and then it was turned on. And then on kind of on the other side of the home, on the side, there's the input from the panels. So right above there, this line right here goes to the panels. Inside the house, I have here, one second, I'm just moving this toolbar. That's kind of stuck. Okay. On the left side is what we started off with in December of 2023. So I have 1 Tesla battery power wall, which is down here. And then the gateway, it's a Tesla on the front also. I'm sorry, I had my connection was weak. I just want to verify, can you all hear me?
Yep, you froze for a minute there.
Sure.
When you said, and
Okay.
we kind of lost you around when you started to describe December 2023, but you're back now.
Okay. Okay. So yes, so on the left here is when we started the initial setup, and there's the Tesla Powerwall battery down here, and it has an input to the gateway, and the gateway also has an input from the solar panels. So this unit right here, the gray unit, and also from the grid. And the gateway basically is what manages and does the monitoring and management of the power. So it could take from the grid, send it to the house, or take from the battery, take from the power, you know, so basically it kind of manages the traffic. I like to think of it as the brains, because what it does also is it connects with the app on my phone, and through there I have some settings and some options and some data that is very helpful and beneficial for me. So I'll share some screenshots of that as well. So in April of this year, I decided to upgrade the system and get a second battery for a few reasons. The first one is I can still benefit from a rebate. So the cost, because this is the next year, there's some benefit there. Another one is I was producing enough power and sending it to the grid at certain times. And I just felt like, why don't I store it? Because I labored for it, let me keep it. Basically, when I need it, I can use it. So basically just maximizing, just having a little bit more storage of the power. So basically the two batteries now act as one big one. So when I look on the app and I see that there's 50% of the battery left, it's actually 50 of the total of both batteries. So basically like 25 and 25, basically we can think of it in each battery. My panel, the electrical panel. So the top panel here, the A, this is the original panel in my home. And then the B is the outage. So basically the electrician moved 12 switches from here to this unit down here to unit B. And so that when there is an outage, these 12 still can operate. What are certain things I have on there? The furnace, the sump pump. I have my Wi-Fi, for example, where my Wi-Fi is. I have the garage door. I have a light switch on every floor. So basically, these are customizable things, and I just went through the house and kind of surveyed what would we need during an outage. AC was not on it. The AC, as I've learned, this is my first summer, kills the battery, kills my battery. So whatever I produce in the morning, and this past summer it was pretty hot, the battery usually was approaching 40% maybe left over, or 30% by the morning. So okay, so that's my interior. And you can see here on the right, the two power walls, and they just stack very nicely. So cosmetically, they look very nice. Okay, then Tesla app. So these are some screenshots of what I've been seeing over the past little under a year. So on the top left there, you can see the solar is producing 3.5 kilowatt. My home is requiring 1.2. My battery is fully charged, and so the rest is going to the grid. So I'm sending to the grid 2.3 kilowatts. This is when I had one power wall, because you can tell in B, if you look at B, now power wall says 2x. So this is where I doubled. This one in particular most likely happened during the evening time or early in the day, where I'm producing 0.2, my home is requiring 0.4. And so it's using some solar and some of the battery. So the gateway is right here in the middle, and basically it's the brains, as I said. C, this is probably just at night. I have 82% of the battery left. My house is requiring 0.3, and it's using 0.3 from the battery. I'm not producing from the solar. I'm not taking from the grid. I'm not sending to the grid either. There's a lot of functions and different things inside the app. There's also a very nice function that says how much you want to have as reserve. So I have it set as 20%. So basically, if at night or whenever I approach 20%, then it will stop using the battery, so that I have at least 20% left. This one right here happened in April 8th of this year. It was very interesting. This is when we had the eclipse. I just thought of sharing it with you. So this is usually the curve that I was kind of referring to, and it should be a nice curve, an inverted U. But once the eclipse occurred around 3 p.m., I believe, you can see basically the production went to zero, and then boom, it came back up. And that day, up down here, it shows where the energy was used. So my home used 24% of the energy produced, solar. My power wall used 35, and then I sent 41%. So the kilowatts, how many kilowatts and so forth, but what I sent to the grid. So useful data. Another really cool feature with the weather here in Michigan, there's a feature in the app called Storm Watch. So it knows my address, the app knows my address, knows my zip code, and it can forecast or knows that there's a storm coming. And this has happened several times. So what it will do is it will charge the battery from the grid, besides taking from the solar. So as a means of expediting the charge. And it will really, like, the first time I saw this, it scared me because it was saying like 8 kilowatts, 10 kilowatts. And so it was like sucking the power, hopefully all the credit first that I produced or that I sent to DTE, my electricity company, and then, using it. But that's a really great feature that I really actually appreciate, because again, it goes back to my first point about my family and convenience. What if the battery, I had only 10% left and there's an outage? I'm only going to last for a small amount of time. So this feature is nice. It sees the forecast. It knows there's a storm coming. Again, I'm trying to remember how many times I got alerted about this. This summer, probably at least 3 or 4 times this happened. Getting alerted that there is a storm, and then it would, and then once the storm passes by, it stops taking from the grid. Okay, this is actual outage. So this is a screenshot of an outage. I don't remember exactly when this one happened, but I believe this, yeah, I had only one power wall. So I'll see an X here on the grid, and I had at this time 44% left in the battery. My home is requiring 0.4 kilowatts, and I was taking 0.4 straight from the battery. Now, again, with one battery, it was estimating I have approximately 11 hours remaining. With a 2 battery now, this goes up to almost 30 hours or more. And keep in mind that during an outage, if it's morning, I can still use my solar panels. The power is still being produced. It's being produced to power the house and then to go to the battery if need be. I see some questions or a question. Let me just glance at it here. Curious about the battery disconnect switch outside. DTE required this in addition to the solar disconnect. How is it wired? Shut off the AC from the power wall inverter to the gateway. Okay, let me, I'll answer the questions at the end. I'm not sure I know the specifics to that, Dale, but I will try my best. So I'll go through everything, but it's good if we have questions piling up in the comments so that we can address them. Also through the app here on the right side, this is for the lifetime of the system, all the outages I've had. The real outages are the ones marked with the red X, the red check mark. The others are, could have been like just some light flickering, like just something happened, or something that I did to test the system. So from the app, I can actually make an outage, like do a simulation of an outage and see how my system reacts. So you can see here, the second one says a minute long, a minute, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. So that could be me, or it could be even the installer when they came or put the second battery. But the real outages, so far, it has not been a year yet, and I've had 2 outages. One in this past few days ago, September 3rd, for 2 hours, from 10:49 to 12:40, 2 hours. And then in March 5, so it was cold, I had a 3-hour outage. And that one is in the morning. And it's the time, I'm opening the garage. I need to go out or, drop off the kids or just dropped off the kids and coming back. So my life was not changed. Everything is just going smoothly. Knock on wood, praying that it all goes. But basically, I'm actually impressed because when I first got the system, I was like, thinking, okay, when's the next outage? Not that I want an outage, but I want to see this thing working. And it was just transparent. I just get an alert on my phone saying there's an outage. And I'm like, oh, there's an outage. Oh, okay. Let me check with my neighbors. I look outside. Doesn't look like anyone has lights or their lights are out. And I'm like, okay, well, let me open my garage and, get out and just live my life. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't like rub it in, but I'm just thinking, I'm glad I have this. I'm providing for my family. Okay. This is an interesting one. So we're still early in the month of September, but I took this screenshot earlier today. And so far, in the month of September, I've used 99% renewable energy, whether it's from my solar or from my Powerwall, because my Powerwall gets it from my solar. 1%, again, this is where maybe it's just some in the gateway, sometimes it's trying to, move traffic or direct traffic in different ways. So it may have sucked something very little from the grid. But for the most part, I was sending to the grid. And this is in September. I can change the setting and look at the beginning of the year, a certain custom date or a certain month, or for the lifetime. So this brings me up, makes me very happy. You'll see a $sign here, and actually there is more to this screen. If I do enter the kilowatt cost, and I have different cost structure, like the evening, certain hours cost different, then I can have this app estimate for me how much I'm actually saving, because there is a payback period, right? So when the estimate of the system was given to me, it told me it was going to take me, X amount of years. And that wasn't really a factor for me. Money definitely is a factor, how long it will take me to recoup that money. But it wasn't the main reason. I had to kind of balance all the different reasons together because that was pretty big, the length of the time. Let me just check real quick. I have it written somewhere in another screen, how long they told me my payback would be. Yeah, they said 19 years. I don't think so. I think it's going to be much less than that. I've been in this house for 10 years. So, and I don't see myself moving out for now, but that's kind of where I am. Now, this is an interesting data for those who like stats and things like that. This is on the left here is an estimate before I got the system, and on the right is my actuals. So on the left here, I was given that I can only go up to 100% in terms of consumption offset at the time of my install. So DTE had a regulation, and I heard this has changed now, that I cannot go above 100%. So my 11 panels got me to 94, maybe my 12th would have got me over the 100, so I had to stay at that. And it was estimated that my first year consumption would be 4,500 kilowatts. And this number, so you know, is not, there's a bit of a caveat because what was used to plug this data was our usage over the 2 years prior. I believe it was about 2 years prior. And we were part-time in the house because we were staying with my in-laws. My father-in-law had cancer, so we were helping them out. So our usage of electricity at the house was not as a regular usage. So this was estimated. And then it was estimated also that the first year production would be 4,200 kilowatts. Actual, so this was taken this morning. I took this screen this morning from the app. I set the filter to lifetime, and our current production since December of last year has been 4,100 kilowatts. So we're almost approaching, and it's not been a year, that estimated first year estimated first year production down here. So almost there, the 4,200, 4,300 kilowatt. And then the home was actually using 49. We are now full-time in our house, so it's more than the estimated consumption. And so the energy offset is 84%. So this is right through there. What's next for me? I am very excited about the system, and I continue to share my positive experience with others. I'm excited to be here, so I do it in this event. I also shared it in the Solarize event, encouraging others, but also with a lot of my friends and peers. I told you that I'm a priest. I actually looked at possibly getting something at church as well and getting some renewable energy at church. And generally, I want to say I kind of show off with my friends in a good way. I don't show off in a bad way, but I mean show off as in encourage them, this is something wonderful to consider. I show them the app, I show them the screens that I showed you as well. And usually they're very excited, but no one is just ready to just jump right on. So hopefully my experience, word of mouth goes far. The second thing I am considering to do is I was made aware that DTE has increased the cap. So I am considering maybe adding another 2 to 3 panels on the other side of the of my roof. And one of the reason obviously is to produce charge the battery faster, and then maybe build more credit, and then obviously send more to the grid. So kind of doing my part. It's, I want to say, kind of my contribution, because I'm producing more, I'm sending it more to DTE, and hopefully this energy is used by my neighbors. Another option I may consider as well is adjusting the positioning of panels. If you recall, all the panels were installed on one side of the home, and they are actually on the rear side, so no one from my neighbors can see it. It's not bothering anyone. But one of the things I'm thinking, in addition to adding a few panels, is maybe taking 2 or 3 and putting them on the other side of the roof, just to get more time exposure as the light and the sun moves across. So that's it. That's all I have. Thank you for listening. And I guess, I don't know, Julie, do we switch to questions now?
Definitely, yeah, and there are some in the chat, and I can let you manage the chat and the questions if you like. I would just comment that I love your story so much, and sharing it is it's what got me hooked. It's one thing to put solar on my home and reduce my own carbon footprint, but to have that be a little like stone in a pond and have those ripple effects go out and other people do it because they may have learned, I might have planted a seed or run a Solarize program or told more people about it, and then those people tell people and those people tell people, and this is why I think Ann Arbor has been so successful at expanding solar. So I love that part of your story as well, and I think that's one of the remarkable things about the program is that people can hear from people like you, and they can come in a safe way and just listen and just learn and not feel like it's a high pressure sales situation, and get the benefits of it. So I love that. I also love that you're thinking about it for your church.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool. But I'll stop talking and let you.
Oh, sure. So we'll go with the comments first, I guess, in the chat, and then I'll try my best to answer. If they're very technical, I may not be able to answer them, but all right. So Dale, curious about the battery disconnect switch outside. DTE required this in addition to the solar disconnect. How is it wired? Shutting off the AC from the Powerwall inverter output into the gateway.
Did DTE tell you that you needed that, or maybe your installer just decided that's what was required because they've worked with DTE?
Yeah, so the installer, and I don't know if I should, I don't want to like do a promo for them, or I can say
You're okay. It's your installer. It's your story. You're okay.
So the company is called Oak Electric. And so they they know the code. They know the code for Ann Arbor. They know what DTE wants. I do have their manager's cell phone. So through the journey, I was texting with him. Amazing guy, very, very nice. I was just texting with him recently, earlier this week, about the whole few more panels. Very responsive. So he knew what he was doing. And this actually gave me a very good level of confidence, because I had heard a lot of negative stories that installers would come and go and bankrupt, etc., and all these different things. So he knew what they needed. So that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, thanks. Yep.
No problem. Okay, second question, Naomi. Do we have an understanding on how proposed City of Ann Arbor electric utility will affect the electricity by price offered for your PV generated? So my understanding is Ann Arbor is looking to get their own power, but I don't think they are going to, or haven't yet. I don't know, maybe someone else can comment on that.
Yeah, I kind of responded a little bit in the chat, but I think this is regarding the sustainable energy utility that Ann Arbor has proposed. It will be on the ballot in November, actually, for people to vote on. And I can say this, the initial phase of the SEU will be installing on-site solar on buildings. Now, this would be solar that is owned by the city, not owned by the individual in the building. So it doesn't have the same financial payback, but it also doesn't have the upfront cost, right? So it's solar on, and then you're getting billed from the energy that the solar produces, just like DTE. The modeling suggests it will be less than DTE's. Second phase of the SEU will be starting to connect people's solar and batteries with each other. So we're forming little microgrids. So people who are either hosting SEU solar on their homes, or people like Amir who have their own solar, could potentially sign up to join the SEU, share within a microgrid, and have a different payback structure than what DTE is offering. That's probably a few years down the road after we start getting density of solar in certain areas. I am going to say that next month at the Ann Arbor Solar Story, Missy will be here talking exactly about this sustainable energy utility that's going to be on the ballot in Ann Arbor. So if you either live in Ann Arbor and want to learn more about it, or if you don't live in Ann Arbor and want to learn more about it, you can come then, and she can answer those kinds of questions to the best of her ability.
Okay, great. Betsy and Bob Williams, payback time is even shorter if you consider all the food you are no longer discarding. Absolutely. I mean, one of the other things besides the food, let's say there's a storm and we're going to go get a hotel, you know, a couple $100. What if it's, you know, it ends up being a week long, you know, it's going to be 1,000, you know. So absolutely, there's other costs besides their estimate for sure. And also, this estimate is based on a certain percentage of increase of the utility or kilowatt. It maybe in a year it's going to be, you know, a 5% increase, and the year after another 5%. So it all depends on the model that was used for the estimate. So, okay, what happens? And after I move on to the next one, if I didn't answer your question, you know, feel free to unmute and follow up. Naomi, what happens to roof maintenance? So one of the things they asked me in the beginning is, what's the age of the roof? The house was built, it was less than 30 years. I think the roof replacement is 30 years. So I think it was fine. The unit is supposed to last, is kind of quite guaranteed to be about 20 years or more. I think 20, 25 years. But anyway, if there is any type of maintenance required, the electrician can come, remove the panels, and then do the work, whatever needs to get done, and then put them back in. So it's a question I've asked in the past. On a side thing, also, I just want to let you know, one of the things I did is actually I talked to a realtor in Ann Arbor. I just wanted to know, does this add value to the home? So the realtor, and is a very prominent realtor in Ann Arbor. You see his signs everywhere. He told me that it's not like adding square footage to your home, but definitely it would make your home desirable. So if people see that your home is self-sustaining, then obviously more bids would come into your home. The other thing is it is movable, obviously. So the Tesla batteries, I can take them with me. I could leave the panels and maybe get more efficient panels. You know, let's say I move in 20 years and I want to take the battery and, you know, build another. So there's a lot of customizing things. So I thought of mentioning that quick one. You mentioned that the AC would drain Powerwall quickly. Do you know the age of your AC? It's pretty new. I mean, maybe I exaggerate, drain it quickly, but basically when I look at the usage, it could be when the AC is running, it's taking like 3.5 kilowatts and it's just taking them. When the furnace is running, you know, it's much less than that because it's obviously using natural gas. But I was already told not to put the AC on the outage box because it would drain. I was also told not to put the washer and dryer. Obviously, they're not emergency items. I can live without them. I did put my microwave though. The microwave does use some power, but I do need to heat the food for the kids. So sorry. Okay, I hope you giggle loudly when you get your, oh yeah, I do. Actually, it's on auto pay, so I don't really keep an eye on it, but it's definitely, so far, it's been 1/3. On average, it's been 1/3 of what I used to pay. How do you heat your house? Did you consider LFP batteries? I do not know what LFP batteries are, but I use a furnace, natural. Yeah, go ahead.
So LFP are lithium ferrous phosphate batteries. Chemically, they're more stable than the Tesla Powerwalls. And I just wondered if you had a discussion about a safer version of a battery or whether or not your installer even presented that option.
Okay. No, I do not recall that being an option. No, I do not recall. No. What's the company? Do you know any companies that produce them?
Yeah, so there are a number of companies that produce them. Simplify was a company in California that was producing them and sells them to FEMA. Simplify was recently bought by Briggs and Stratton and now is Briggs and Stratton Energy. But they put them in sea-tainers and drop them into disaster areas. The military uses the same type of sea-tainers to put them in. There's a company in Novi, the Next Energy, that is producing lithium ferrous phosphate batteries. They have visions of producing them for automobiles, but I think that's going to be a stretch. They are producing them for electrical grids as reserve power for electrical grids. That company name is One, stands for Our Next Energy, and they're in Novi.
Okay. Thank you. I took note of that. Just, I'm interested to learn about it as well. Thank you for sharing. Next question. It looks like your power walls are inside the house. I've heard that some installers prefer to put them in the garage just in case they catch fire. Did you consider that? Is there any special barrier around or above your Tesla power walls? So the garage was an option. However, in the winter time, they wanted a certain temperature. My garage doesn't get too cold. There's no windows. But when they looked at the furnace room, they said this would be appropriate. I believe the code has changed, meaning that when I had it done, it could be in an unfinished wall, but I believe now it has to be a finished wall. Something like it has to be an enclosed area. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just jump in here. I'm not 100% sure about this, but there was a minute where that was a very brief minute where the code was looking like it was going to have to change to have a fireproof enclosure around a battery. And I think that is not currently happening in Ann Arbor because the technology has changed and advanced in these batteries such that it's reduced the fire risk enough that it didn't have to comply with that fireproof box. I am saying this with like 60% certainty. So don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that happened because there was a lot of like talk about it for a while, like, okay, we're gonna have to start accommodating this and like thinking about this, it's gonna increase the price quite a bit. And then all of a sudden it went away. And I'm pretty sure it was because of some technology changes these in the batteries, but I can check on that and be sure that I'm saying a true thing here. And maybe some of the other GLRA folks know if what I'm saying is true.
Yeah, it's worth looking into because I think it would definitely increase the cost of the whole project. Because when I was in the process, I was told, "You're very lucky. The code just changed." You know, something like that. Like I fell in the. But I will say something about the batteries. They do not get hot, warm. I touched them. There's internal fans. They're very quiet. They're blowing air. It's very, very smooth. I mean, I think the technology definitely is very superior. Yeah. Next question. Did you look at other battery brands? So I think this is similar to the previous question. Maybe Harvey was saying about the brands of the batteries. So my installer only offered, at least what was presented to me, was the Tesla. So I do not know any other brands. I'm very happy with them. No complaints. So I think, okay, we have others. Okay, there are not very many instances of Tesla Powerwall home fires. I see one from a quick online search. Sand is your best remedy should you face such situation. Okay, thank you. I do have a bag of sand in my garage. Maybe I should move it downstairs.
I think John has his hand up too.
Oh, okay.
Just a quick question. So I take it that Oak Electric participates in Ann Arbor Solarize program?
Yes.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are there other questions not in the chat, like people actually want to speak with like voices? You're free to come off mute.
I had a quick question. Do you put your refrigerator on the batteries? I was kind of curious about how that pulls the energy off them.
Yes, the battery is one of those 12 items. So the fridge obviously, so our fridge is energy efficient, certified, you know, all this stuff. It's a newer fridge, a few years. It does use some energy when it's cooling, but then it goes off. So it doesn't, but it's nothing compared to like the AC or even the furnace. So it just turns on, it uses some energy, and then it stops. So it's minimal.
One thing worth noting, if you ever have to replace the AC, you said it was newer, so you know you might not have to for quite some time, but replacing your air conditioner with a heat pump is much more efficient than an air conditioner because it's just they're highly efficient, and then they can also help now depending on the level of the heat pump that you get. If you get a standard heat pump, it can help heat your home also in the like spring and fall if it's a standard heat pump, so you're getting cooling in the summer and spring and fall heating. And that heating is also highly efficient. It's moving heat from one place to another like your refrigerator does, as opposed to generating heat by burning something or and then of course cold climate heat pumps can work all year round, but that's another it's another story entirely. But when people are replacing air conditioners, I think heat pumps are unfortunately named because it does not sound like a thing that's going to cool your house. But in fact, it is just a bi-directional air conditioner. So it is turned in one direction and cooling your house in the summer, and then you know, change the direction and it's warming your house when when it needs that. So just
Mhm.
something else to think about in the future.
Mhm. Thank you. I noted that. Thank you. Okay. We have some comments in the chat. The Powerwall 2 has 5 kilowatt inverter. The new Powerwall 3 has, yeah. So that's what I did read about this. So the inverter is now in the battery or close to it, rather than being on the roof or outside the battery. Yeah. Question for John. Do you know the cost difference? Oh, it's asking. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it, John. I was really happy with Amir's presentation. It's fantastic. Good information.
All right. I guess any other questions or comments?
If not, that was a really compelling story, and I'm really glad that you came here to share it with everyone. Amir, thank you for taking the time out of your Thursday evening to share it. Your family is very lucky and will have no spoiled food and very few inconveniences. And the cherry on top that you're thinking about getting 2 to 3 more panels to do your part and share with others, just, you know, that's just delightful and lovely. So thank you for being who you are. Yeah.
Question just popped up. You're welcome. You're most welcome. Net cost after rebate and discount. So, Corina, you're asking me how much it was, like how much I paid?
I think
Oh.
yep.
That's what you mean. Okay, so the whole thing after rebates was about 19,000 with the initial, with just the one Powerwall, about 19,000. Yeah.
Oh.
There is there's financing options as well that were offered to me. And they were reasonable, and yeah, so it's
Amir, how much was if you don't mind me asking, how much would a generator have cost?
the generator, there was rebates, but obviously it wasn't part of the Solarize program, so I wouldn't have been able to get the discount there. So when I said it was about 2 point something percent, or sorry, no, 2 point, like over twice the cost.
Oh, that's right. You did say
Yeah,
that.
I did say that. So the
Or
generator,
maybe 7, something like that.
no, the generator for me, because I was looking, that what I wanted was about 13,000
Oh, wow.
pre rebate,
Wow.
pre-rebate.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those don't pay themselves off, except in the unspoiled food.
Yes.
Right.
So I was looking for something a little bit more than what I really needed. But that's, I was looking at different options, but that's what I was looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I do know some people that actually have a solar system and a generator, and this is, I guess, extra, maybe, I don't know. It's not something I'm thinking of right now, but it's something that has come up, and I'm wondering, is that something worth considering? Or maybe it's the one time in 20 years, like I will need to use it. I'm not sure if it's worth it, but yeah. But anyway, I hope I answered all the questions. What is the performance in the winter? I don't understand the question. What does it mean? What do you mean by performance? Like, how's it doing, like production wise? Oh, yeah. So the panels I have are actually very sensitive to light. So even if it's cloudy, it is producing. Probably will not be enough to charge the battery, maybe for the full battery or both batteries. That's why I want to increase the panels. But there are sometimes winter days we have some clear skies, and it does just great. But the technology has evolved. The panels are more sensitive to light. It doesn't have to be direct sun, but just light coming through the clouds is fine. Will produce. Okay. Any other questions? We're good? You're most welcome. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you having me, and if I can be of assistance or be word of mouth, I'd be more than happy to join any other things, or call anyone if you want to give me their number to convince them and help them take it or do the. So anyway, thank you again.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks, GLREA.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.